if you do not worship on Sunday, you will lose your job, or you will lose your house, or you will be fined. And then, guess what? You will go to prison and eventually death. Hello, friends. Welcome back to another video. Welcome back. This is the Open TV. Today, we're going to talk about Christian nationalism brought to you by Stephen Wolf. And then, we're going to see what he means by Christian nationalism. And then, we're going to go and look at the prediction made by Ellen White about Sunday observance or the Sunday law crisis incoming. If it's the first time, hit the subscribe button below. And if you are a new subscriber, if you are a returning subscriber, thank you for watching. Let's get active.
Some people might affirm that, not having a good doctrine of inspiration and all that, but so that doesn't fit, that definition doesn't fit very well. Some people would then say that what I'm arguing for is to make the kingdom of God, basically immanentize the eschaton, as Eric Vogel would say, or bring heaven to earth, or what's called an over-realized eschatology sometimes. Yep. That's actually not what I'm saying at all. I follow the old Protestant tradition where they would keep these things separate. And so I'm not trying to then bring the kingdom of God to earth in a visible way. That's for God to do in the future. But what I do believe, and that my definition is that a Christian nationalism refers to a self-conscious Christian nation, so a people group saying we are Christian, and then acting in light of that, meaning we're Christian, so we're going to act for our good. So this is what nations do generally, is they basically organize politics and all that, and they arrange themselves for their good. I'm saying as a Christian people, you're not just going to seek the temporal things of life, which are good, like being able to exercise your vocation and the good of family life and all that. You're also going to seek after, within the way you order yourselves as a people, for Christian, like specifically Christian ends. So this would include things like, I think, Sabbath laws, which would, on Sundays, would essentially, we could talk about this more, but it essentially kind of close down businesses and of an emergency and essential services. And that would be a way of not forcing people to attend church or do any sort of worship, but it would be kind of a reminder for the people that this is what this day is for, and you should do it. And
this is like a relatively recent phenomena that we don't.
Let's pause it right here. So we're not going to, force anyone to worship on that day, but we're gonna make sure this is how it's gonna start. It's a small step. It's like we're gonna say we want the country to be a Christian nation. Okay. And so we're not gonna go with what the Bible actually says, but we're gonna do whatever we wanna do. Like, in Isaiah chapter 4, verse 1, where it says, and then shall 7 women lay hold of one man and say, we wanna wear our own apparel, we wanna eat what we please, but let us be called by thy name to take away our reproach, which means they want to call themselves Christians or God's people, yet rejecting God's law. So he said, well, we're not going to be forcing people to worship on Sunday. I say that's not true because we already know as Seventh-day Adventists where this thing is going to get into. And let me show you exactly where it's going to get into by Ellen White when she mentioned these things. I'm going to take myself out. So I did some, Sunday law research, and you remember he mentioned, actually, you know what, before we can go there, let's see if he mentioned anything about the 1800s.
Don't do some, blue laws, are like a relatively common thing, up until the last couple of decades, right?
Yeah, I mean, even like the Supreme Court in the 19th century, at least, affirmed that Sabbath laws are okay, and as I understand, it's still actually permissible today because they see it as a a day of rest. It's not religious, and in itself, it's actually a secular sort of thing.
So this is the disingenuous part. It's a day of rest, but it's secular. How could it not be a religious thing if you call the only reason it's called a day of rest is because God said on the seventh day to rest from your labors. Rest. That's God who brought that term. It wasn't a secular term. And so the nineteenth century, well, let's see what happened. What happened? Sunday law when? In 1880s. That's the 19th century. Oh yes. Did you know that? Oh, yes, that's the 19th century. So in the second paragraph, it says, "We have been looking many years for a Sunday law to be enacted in our land, and now that the movement is right upon us, we ask, what are our people going to do with the matter? In the matter, we should especially seek God for grace and power to be given His people now. God lives, and we do not believe that the time has fully come when He would have our liberties restricted." Meaning, in 1880s, the Supreme Court wanted to bring the blue laws, but God said it is not time yet. My people needs to get ready before that thing comes. So in a sense, when God allows this Sunday law to happen, people who love God will reject the Sunday law and will unite with the Sabbath keeping people, because that will be the test for the last day. The test will be, actually, let me talk to you guys. The test will be, will you obey the fourth commandment of God? Are you going to worship on the seventh day of the week as God said, or the first day of the week as the devil said? Which one will you choose? That will be the law. And that will be the contrast between God's people and the devil's people. Let's move on. Next, we have, let's go down. I'm going to keep scrolling down for you guys. Um, Oppose Sunday laws by pen and vote. That was in 1890 or in the 1880s. People were to vote against Sunday law. I'm not gonna read. Oh, you know what? Let me read that part actually. The first day of the week, second paragraph, the second sentence. The first day of the week is not a day to be reverenced. It is a spurious Sabbath, which means a false Sabbath, and the members of the Lord's family cannot participate with the men who exalt this day and violate the law of God by trampling upon his Sabbath. The people of God are not to vote to place such men in office, for when they do this, they are partakers with them of the sins which they commit while in office. Next, the United States will pass a Sunday law. And as we just saw, we got the Christian nationalist, Stephen Wolf, yet saying, nah, it's not about no worshiping, but it just, is that day is for rest. But that term, day of rest, is a religious term, not a secular term. But when our nation shall abjure the principles of its government as to enact a Sunday law, Protestantism will in this act join hands with the popery. Stephen Wolf, just like the devil, does not know where he is trending. He doesn't know. He thinks he's doing a good thing until he finds out he's doing the work of the devil. The prophecy the prophecy of Revelation chapter 13 declares that the power presented by the beast with lamb-like horns shall cause the earth and them which dwell in to worship the papacy. There symbolizes the beast, like unto a leopard. This prophecy will be fulfilled when the United States shall enforce Sunday observance, which Rome claims as the special acknowledgement of her supremacy. So, Sunday observance has nothing to do with God, people. That's what the papacy says is their day of worship. And guess who's gonna be the one to enforce that day? The United States. The United States. Oh, by whom? Christian nationalists like Stephen Wolf. Let's keep on going. This is all from last day events. Sunday laws honor Rome. When the leading churches of the United States, uniting upon such points of doctrine as are held by them in common, shall influence the state to enforce their decrees and to sustain their institution, then Protestant America will have formed an image to the Roman hierarchy, and the infliction of several penalties upon descendants will inevitably result. So, I mean, we got a whole chapter. The papacy will regain her lost supremacy. So, yeah, the idea that, oh, you know what, it's just, to remind everyone it's a day of rest, it's secular, it's not a religious thing, that's a lot of nonsense. Satan will obviously make it look like it's an innocent thing. It's just a tiny little thing. It's not a biggie. And then little by little, he will add more into it and add more until it's like, you know what? If you do not worship on Sunday, you will lose your job, or you will lose your house, or you will be fined. And then guess what? You will go to prison and eventually death. It's that simple. But guys, let me know what you guys think about this. I'm gonna leave it at that. It was again the Overbear TV. Hope to see you guys again. Until then, bye for now.